Hi, this is Dave, Fell Running Guide. Welcome to this week's map reading task. This week we've got a route choice. So I want you to think about how would you get from Stones over here in the east over to Grinah Stones or Grinah Stones over here to the west. The map that we've got for this task is the Harvey Maps Super Walker. It's a 1 to 25,000 and this is the Dark Peak map, and I've got an agreement with Harvey's to use their map extracts. Okay, so thinking about getting from Stones to Grinah Stones, also think about work out how far your route choice would be, the elevation gain, and then think about how long that would take you, either walking or running. One thing we can't tell from the map is what the vegetation's like, so we don't know whether this is deep heather, short grass, bracken, that kind of thing. So obviously if you've got a little bit of local knowledge, that might influence your decision. But what we can assume is if there is a path, then it might be easier going than going straight across country. So the shortest way from A to B would be a straight line, head due west. So drop down here, cross the river very steeply up the other side, and then maybe skirt along the top of this lower small clough, pick up this intermittent path and go straight in. So that's probably not much more than 5.5–6 kilometers, but that is going to entail some very steep ground here, as well as that river crossing, and a lot of distance on unpathed terrain. And if this is very rough, arduous going, then probably better going more along a path. So if we want to go on paths, which options have we got? Well, if we drop down to the valley bottom here, we can pick up a path that goes upstream on the right hand bank of the river. We can follow it all the way up here, and when we get to this point here, we can see that there's a path coming down Lower Small Clough on the other side, and that path comes down and just finishes there on the map. I'll just zoom in a bit for you. So that indicates that there may well be a little bit of a crossing here. You might need to get your feet wet, you might be able to get over without getting your feet wet. That might depend on the rainfall that we've had recently. So assuming that you could get across there, then what you might do is go up the clough, find the intermittent path and go in that way. What if the river was a bit too deep for you to cross there, you didn't feel comfortable? Well, you could continue on the path upstream. Obviously the higher we go upstream, the less water there's going to be in the stream to cross. See this point here where the contours open out? Might be that that's a bit of a better place to cross with less flow, and then we could come up this spur here to Round Hill and either take this intermittent path round or just contour around to get in there. So that's one option. If we were there and we didn't like the vegetation on this descent here, an alternative would be to go back southeastwards to pick up this path and bridleway down to the valley bottom and then take that. So that would be a longer option without a steep descent down a vegetated hillside. If we want to avoid that stream crossing or river crossing in the bottom, then another option would be to head northwards, pick up this path and intermittent path and go all the way along up and then southwards here onto that path and in. Now, obviously that's a lot longer, but also if we have a look at the map and we can see the water features, see there's lots of drainage lines up here. Also these little symbols, these almost like an eyebrow symbol, all here and in here and all the way across here. These are peat hags, which indicates that the ground is very rough, very broken, very up and down. And we can see here there's lots of drainage features in here, so this is going to be probably quite wet underfoot. Similarly in here and in here, and this is going to be really rough going. So not only have we got the disadvantage of it being further, we've got probably rougher ground on that there, but that would be an option. It might be if you wanted to take a longer route with a less steep down and up, and the weather was good and it was dry underfoot, you might want to take that. So what about some distances and elevation gains on there? Well, if we look at the elevation at Bullstones, these contours on the Harvey map are 15-metre intervals. So there's your index contour, your 450. So we can estimate that to be around 500 metres elevation there. What about Grinah Stones? Well, over here, this is the 525 line. So we're a couple of contours higher than that. So let's call that 560. So if we were going the first route, route 1, down, we've got quite a lot of drop down here, probably to about 320, and then up the other side, going up this clough here. Let's just put that route on the map. So that's the pink route indicated there, and you can see the mapping software is giving it a distance of just over 6 kilometers. Total ascent 285 meters with an estimated time of 1 hour 40, and that's based on Naismith's rule, working at covering the ground 12 minutes per kilometer and adding a minute for every 10 meters gained. So that was our shorter route. If you're running, you might estimate taking a time that's half that, so cutting that time in half, so maybe about 100 minutes for that. What about the longer way round? What does the software say for that? There, it's 3 kilometers further, 9.3 kilometers. Elevation gain 190 meters, and it's taking 2 hours and 10, or 2 hours and 11 minutes, but you know, rounding it down to 2 hours and 10 minutes. Again, if you were running, you might halve that. What it doesn't take into account though is the type of terrain underfoot that's just working on distance. So if we did get in some very rough terrain here, you might expect to slow down a little bit on that. So those were basically two different options that we had there. You might have come up with a different option. You might be a complete, yeah, I'm going to straight line it as much as possible. But those were the two most obvious options there. Be interesting to see if anyone came up with anything different. Anyway, hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching. Look out for next week's map reading task. Bye for now.